Stand by for Gowanna.org radio. In 3, 2, 1. Cue the announcer.
You found Gowanna.org radio, your one source for tech news and reviews. Now, almost live from sunny Florida, here's your host, Gowanna McCall.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to episode 259 of Gowanna.org radio. Welcome to another great show. It's only been a couple of millennia since our last show. We last recorded the show back when Star Trek The Next Generation was still on the air. And Commander Worf has just found out that his son Alexander was a wimp. So here we're back in episode 259. Took us a while. I took a hiatus from both my shows because I had tied my game chat with Gowanna show with Twitch, and Twitch chat decided to be like all stupid. So I kind of stopped doing game chat, and as a result, I was not as motivated to do this show. But I finally got off my lazy keister and decided to do Gowanna.org radio. We're back at episode 259. We're going to talk about a few stories. We got about 5 stories to do. I didn't want to go too far back. I went back about 3 days in terms of my my tech news. But we're going to try to get back on schedule and do the normal routine of Tuesday and Thursday shows. I'm recording this one late at night. We're actually streaming this live at twitch.tv/Gowanna so that we can show everybody behind the scenes of what goes on over here at Casa de Gowanna when we talk about tech news and stuff like that there. All right, so welcome to the show. Everybody have a great time and stand by for episode 259 of Gowanna.org radio.
It's time for Gowanna.org radio's tech news for this week.
And for our first story, we're going to talk about the Google. As if there were many other Googles out there. We're going to talk about that particular one called Google at Google.com. You may have heard of them. They sell chicken on the internet. It's actually pretty tasty. No, I'm just joking. Google.com, the behemoth of a search giant that does everything from augmented reality glasses implants to your brain to adware about the dirt under your feet. Google has pretty much embedded themselves everywhere. They're even talking about making a gaming console. We're going to talk about that on Game Chat with Gowanna this coming weekend. They're talking about doing everything. But yeah, Google has been notoriously known. We're going to talk about a story that's been near and dear to my heart because as I was preparing stories for today's show, I was using a product called Feedly. And Feedly allows me to aggregate news, RSS news, and I can read a bunch of news in a short amount of time. I used to use a product called Google Reader. And we talked about this on a previous show of Gowanna.org radio, and I mentioned how upset I was about it. So I found this article over on MakeUseOf.com, which kind of struck a nerve. What has Google killed in the past 7 years? And they're not talking about actual physical things. So don't alert your local authorities. Don't call the police. Don't call anybody that has a weapon. This is talking about products. Well, if you have a weapon, I'm not going to go there. We're talking about products, and this is a great infographic over at MakeUseOf.com, and it talks about the Google graveyard, and it has it in kind of a ghost and ghouls layout. They've got a haunted house with ghosts running around. It says Google, the Google graveyard, and they start right off going down the list. So I'm going to go through these. Let me see if you can recognize some of these products. First off, Google Reader. Obviously. iGoogle. Who remembers iGoogle? This was Google's attempt to match, back then it was called My Yahoo. These were portals where people would set as their start pages and put all their information there. Google's iteration was called iGoogle. You remember Google Gadgets and the previous iteration of iGoogle? Google Gadgets? Gone. Dead. Killed November 1st, 2013. They're going to retire the site then. Google Talk. Now, this is kind of different because this was replaced by Google Hangout. So Google Talk is no more. Google Health. This one I never used, but I remember it. It allowed users to store, manage, and share all their health, wellness information in one central place. Sounds so wonderful. Google Null, spelled Knol. This was their attempt to battle Wikipedia. Didn't quite work out. Content was not accessible after October 1st, 2012. Google Picnic. It's a picnic. This was an online photo editor. Wow. It was the default photo editor in Yahoo Flickr before it was acquired by Google. Was closed April 19th, 2012. Google Buzz. I remember Google Buzz because I was like, Google Buzz, gonna be the future, man. Google Buzz, make friend feed like a joke. I was all about friend feed. Friend feed was where it's at, but Google Buzz is gonna be where it's at. Google gets it. Google knows. Google's got good engineers. Google does things right. Google Buzz dead December 15th, 2011. Aardvark. I hadn't even heard of this one. But this was a social search engine that facilitated Q&A sessions over live chat intended to match askers with good answers. Sounds like a competitor to Yahoo Answers. And all these other Ask.com and other... I don't think Ask.com does that anymore. Google SideWiki. Oh, yes, I remember this. I remember doing videos about this. Google SideWiki. This was a sidebar tool so that you could annotate websites. And you could contribute information to any web page and comments, and you could highlight things. I was like, this is so exciting. It's going to change the entire web. As a matter of fact, I think Google has they've just stumbled onto something and it's dead. Killed in September 2011. Google Notebook. This was a free application that allowed you to save clips of information on an online notebook. Has been replaced with Google Keep. So Google Notebook has been killed. Google Dictionary shut down in August 2011. They pretty much put it in the browser, in the search engine. If you go to your in the Google search engine, you type define and then a term, that's Google Dictionary now. Google Labs. This was a playground where people would plop ideas and Google would still... No, I'm just joking. This is where adventurous users could test and provide feedback on prototype projects. This is where Google was playing with stuff and we were actually able to look at it. Google Wave. You guys remember Google Wave? Oh, man, Google Wave was going to change the internet. No longer were we going to say, send me an email. Oh, no, it was going to be like on Firefly. Send me a wave, and I'll get right on that. Sir, did you get my wave? Yes, I did. I contributed to your wave. Did you see my edits? Why, yes, I did. I saw them in real time as you were doing them. I was just testing you. Ha 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 ha! Google Wave is so awesome. Dead. 2010. Due to lack of interest. Google Search Wiki. I'm just going to go down the rest of these names. Dodgeball. Haiku. Oh, man, Haiku. I remember them. They were a Twitter... Oh, man, they were a Twitter competitor. They got bought by Google, and they stopped developing in 2009. Google Lively. Google Page Creator. Google Zeitgeist. Google Answers. So many dead Google products. So, when someone says that they don't trust Google in terms of keeping the product around, this is the history that they're looking at. And this is the type of thing that Google has been known to do. And people get on Yahoo about buying companies out and killing them and all kinds of stuff. And get on a lot of companies for that. But Google, they do it too. Matter of fact, they're getting very good at it. And the list of products that are being discontinued is growing. And a lot of people believe that the big push on Google Plus is going to obsolete a lot of other programs. But we're gonna actually see what actually happens there. Check it out, guys. This is over on makeyouseof.com. They got the details over there. For our next story, we're going to talk about the cloud. And a lot of companies are pushing the cloud in your face. Basically telling you that the cloud is the future. It is here now. You better get on board or you're going to be left behind. We're going to talk about just the idea of the cloud and some of the options that you have. Now, you may have heard of sites like Dropbox and a recent one I just joined, copy.com, even Google Drive. A lot of these cloud initiatives allow you to use online storage or online capabilities for your main housing area for your data. In the past, we used to store things on our hard drives and then we would back them up to disks, to CDs and USB drives. But now the primary backup mechanism for a lot of tech people out there It is called the cloud. Now, this is not a new idea. I was just mentioning to my chat room earlier that I used to do this kind of stuff on Linux all the time with just rsync. I would back up my data across multiple systems just by executing a few commands with FTP, SCP, rsync, and I will synchronize and back up my data automatically, magically in the background. So what's been happening is that there's been a huge trend towards these services, these online quote-unquote free services that give you the similar capability without all the technical know-how. Now, in light of recent issues with the U.S. government, namely with the NSA, and privacy issues have begin to arise, and I'm kind of shocked that it took this long. Actually, privacy issues have come up before, but people get lulled to sleep and they forget, and then it takes something like the Prism thing to wake people up again and go, wait a minute, they're spying on everything I do, that kind of stuff. So if you are one of those people who are becoming a little bit more paranoid, you want to do more encryption, you want to protect some of your more sensitive data from prying eyes that shouldn't be there, there's some options out there, and one of these options that I found today was a site that allows you to roll your own cloud service, essentially build your own cloud architecture. It's called ownCloud. I found this over on makeuseof.com. It's been around a little while. It's cross-platform, a self-hosted solution that can give you some of the capabilities of Dropbox and Google Calendar and some of these other popular cloud sites. And it offers a whole lot of stuff. I mean, it mimics some of the stuff that Google Drive and Microsoft SkyDrive are able to do. You do have database options with Apache and the AMP stack, which is Apache, MySQL, and PHP. You're very familiar with that probably. And if you can roll your own server, you have clients that you can install on your clients, as well as desktop clients and mobile clients. They support iOS and Android mobile clients. So if you want to store your mobile data on this homegrown cloud solution, you can as well. And it offers some security features with username and password access, online calendaring. It's got a very nice interface for something that's open source and can be yours and tailored just to you. So you can put your own type of security around this thing and make it your own. So if you're a little paranoid about cloud solution, if you want to roll your own, check out ownCloud. This article over on makeuseof.com gives a great overview of what's going on with this product and how to use it and how to get started. There's going to be a lot of stuff to get, to kind of wrap your head around. You can't just install this and be up and running in 5 minutes. So be prepared to do a lot of reading and a lot of research. And, if you're on board about security, you're probably going to have to do some research on securing a lot of these web aspects as well. So check it out, guys, over on makeuseof.com. They got the details over there.
You're listening to Bawana.org Radio, a potpourri of tech news and reviews.
And for our next story, we're going to talk about podcasts. Wait, you're listening to a podcast, and we're going to talk about podcasts within the podcast that you're listening to. Yo, dog. I heard you like Anyway, Pandora for podcast app Swell raises 5.4 million Series A round. We're going to talk about this story over on GigaOM. This is an application called Swell. And if you're familiar with the application Pandora for PC and for mobile, then you'll know that it's kind of one of these music learning apps that kinds of, you put in an artist or a song, and what it'll do is that it'll play similar songs to that, have the same type of rhythm and genre and vocal style. What it does is that it does this. I mean, when it first came out, they made a big deal about music DNA and how it can map musical fingerprints, if you will, and be able to generate a customized list. Now, a lot of people are doing this now. I mean, everybody's doing it now. But when Pandora came out, they were one of the first to make it a big deal. So this app Swell is kind of doing some of a similar task, but I don't think they're getting too deep into like the musical DNA and stuff like that. It's mainly going to be around topic, I think, and subject and type of host, and whether if it's a controversial topic or not. So say you're listening to, I don't know, ESPN radio or ESPN podcast, like Mike and Mike in the morning or something like that. And you use this app, and what it'll do is that it will give you a list of other types of podcasts that are similar to that. So it's a good way of discovering new podcasts. So if you're looking for a new podcast to play while you're doing your work, or while you're traveling, or while you're playing a video game like Euro Truck Simulator 2, which is perfect for listening to podcasts, which is on sale on Steam. But it's a great app for finding new podcasts. It sounds like it. I haven't tried it yet. I'm tempted to put it on my phone, but we will see. I'm going to take a look at it, see how it goes, because I'm probably going to put it on my my iPad, because it's available in the iTunes store, but I don't see an Android link, so I can't put it on my actual phone. So I'm gonna probably put it on my iPad and see how it goes from there, and I'm gonna test it out. It sounds interesting. It sounds harmless enough to just try. You know, if I'm probably gonna put in like a CNN podcast and see what I get back. So yeah, it's called Swell. Check it out, guys. If you're into podcasts, you probably are, because you're listening to one. And I hate to break it to you, but this is a podcast, so you can check out Swell. I don't know if you can find my stuff on iTunes Store anymore. They broke it and I can't fix it. So I don't know if I'll even show up in Swell. But I'm pretty sure you can put my RSS feed in there and may be able to find some stuff. Check it out, guys, over on gigaohm.com. They got the details about this app called Swell, which is Pandora for podcasts. Do you have an SSD? No, this is not a medical question. Don't stop looking at your toes. This is not a disease. SSDs stands for solid state drive. These are the wave of the future. These are hard drives, which are typically small in size in terms of storage size, but offer overwhelming speeds. I recently switched to SSD technology in my latest PC build. You can find it on my YouTube channel. And I was absolutely flabbergasted, floored, and fallen in loving withing the speed of the SSD. I think the saying is, once you go SSD, everything else is crap. Mega crap. Yes, that's because you can boot up your OS in mere seconds. You can install updates to your OS in a third of the time. Everything is really, really fast. And they're pretty fast right now. But Samsung just said, oh, you think what you have is fast? Let us show you the future. And then they turned around and they opened this giant corridor to this drive called the Evo 840. Actually, no, it's not the Evo 840. This is the NVMe SSD XS1715. And check this out. It reads data at 3,000 megabytes a second. Now, the Evo 840 was 540 megabytes per second. This thing is 3,000 megabytes a second. Out freaking standing. Now, this thing, it does have caveats. It won't run in a SATA 6 port. You're going to have to hook it up through a PCI Express hookup, because the speeds are just that insane. And it's going to be available in 400 gigabyte, 800 gigabyte, and 1.6 terabyte size. I don't know if I can fathom having that much space at that speed. But a 1.6 terabyte SSD is probably going to cost you more than something very expensive that I can't think of right now. 3,000 megabytes per second is kind of absurd. I'm looking forward to seeing benchmarks on this. I'm pretty sure people are going to do some stupid things like, I'm going to delete all of Windows. Let's see how long it takes. And then it's probably going to go in like 5 seconds. Because that's a lot of data per second. It's hard, kind of hard to imagine. Check it out, guys, over on the Gadget. They got details, pictures of this thing. It does shame the competition. That's what the article headline says. Samsung announces 3,000 megabyte per second enterprise SSD. Shames on you. Shames the competition. Check it out.
You found Bwana.org radio. Tech news and tech gadgets for the hardcore geek in all of us.
Do you watch TV? No, you don't. You don't watch TV. But if you do, no, I'm just joking. You guys probably have seen your cable bills rise. Before I left DirecTV, probably been about a year now. My bills were steadily rising. Like every 3 months, it would go a few dollars higher, a few dollars higher, a few dollars higher, to where it was like $15, $20 higher than when I started, which was getting kind of ridiculous. And my rationale was, man, I gotta keep my cable, I gotta keep my DirecTV service because I gotta watch live sports. You can't really get live sports like live basketball, live football, live baseball, live something insert sport here. You can't get that online as easily as you can other shows. So it was very, very convenient to stick with my cable company for these sports shows. Now, this story over on slashgear.com talks about the price to be paid for these live sports shows. The headline reads, cable companies may lower bills by getting rid of sports. And I was a little bit skeptical. I'm like, cable companies generally lie. And that's kind of a safe assumption to make because they do. I'm not making that up. They generally lie. But I saw these numbers. I'm like, is that true? Check this out. In 2012, cable providers paid regional sports networks an average of $2.47 per subscriber. That's an average. I mean, it could be lower or higher. $2.47 per subscriber to carry their channels as part of their digital basic program. This is not the special packages. This is just basic. And that was up from $1.12 in 2012. So it's almost doubled. It has doubled. It has doubled since 2002. It has doubled since 2002. And it also says in the article that this means that you're paying almost $2.50 a month for a sports channel that you may or may not be using. And this is the part that gets me. Fees for ESPN and ESPN2 was a combined $5.71 per subscriber. Now, this is per person. Per person using the service. The cable companies have to pay that much to the sports people. So you think about it, you're like, they raised the prices of my cable bills. Could this be the sole reason why? I'm still a little skeptical, but that's kind of what this article is talking about, is that they have to pay, and these prices are going up, these fees to these sports networks, sports networks, and it's kind of crazy. Now, the article goes on to talk about Nielsen ratings, which I kind of don't really buy. I know some of the technology behind Nielsen, and I'm just like, so the samplings that they take, I just really don't take at face value. But they say Nielsen found that only a measly 4% of households watch sports on average. I don't know. But they say cable providers are considering, this is the gist of the article, cable providers are considering cutting down on sports networks in order to lower monthly bills. So this may not be the cable company's fault. May not. I'm very skeptical because cable companies tend to lie. Check this story out, guys. Over on slashgear.com, they got the details. Cable companies say, we raising your bills, man. But it's because of them sports networks over there. Check it out, guys. It's over there. Go. No, bye. What if I told you that I could develop a knife that could detect cancerous tissues within seconds? Would you believe me? Good, because it's true. Med students, apparently, according to this article over on Engadget.com, some med students or researchers at London's Imperial College have created a high-tech scalpel, check it out now, that can differentiate between cancerous and non-cancerous tissues as it's cutting. I saw that when I first saw that. I'm like, is this real life? I'm serious, man. Like this is the part that gets me. They call it the eye knife. It's the intelligent knife. So therefore it's eye knife. I wonder if Apple has anything to say about that. Oh man. And by analyzing vapors created during electrosurgical dissection in real time, it takes only seconds to distinguish healthy flesh from affected tissue. Now, when I first read this, I was like, well, why would you want to do that? I mean, detection of cancerous cells is usually done from PET scans and, various MRIs and various CAT scans and PET scans. And then it dawned on me, and I read further. It was like, well, it'll speed up surgery. I'm like, well, duh, it's a scalpel, Buona. Use your brain. It'll speed up surgery considerably because as they're cutting, it'll be able to tell them if that's cancerous cell or not. And another point they put in here is that it'll also reduce the amount of follow-up surgeries in case they miss some cancerous cells. Because if you do have to have surgery to remove cancerous cells, a lot of times they don't find it all. And cancer cells spread. So they try to get rid of all of it. So this knife is going to ensure that, it detects cancerous cells as they're cutting. I thought this was very amazing because, I've had family members go through cancer. My wife went through cancer. And, I've seen all the different techniques and things they use. She didn't have to go through, actually, she did have to have surgery a couple times. And it's not something you want to have repeated that many times. So if this knife can reduce the amount of surgeries that one can have, I would call that a success in itself. But, just the technology that they can actually look at the freaking vapor. It's like, I cut you. Cancer! I cut you. Not cancer. I cut you. Cancer! I cut you. Not cancer. It can basically smell the cancerous cells, which is kind of amazing. Amazing. So check it out, guys. This is over on ownCloud.com. They got the details. Med students developed knife that can detect cancerous cell tissues within seconds. And that concludes our show for tonight. I want to thank everybody for listening. This is Buona.org, episode 259. I want to thank everybody for listening. We're back again once more. Please follow my Twitter at twitter.com/Buona. You can also check out my website at radio.buona.org. We also do a video podcast at buona.tv. I haven't updated the site in a while, but you can also check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ILBuffer, which has a ton of gaming clips if you're into that kind of stuff and the like. So subscribe to this particular podcast at radio.buona.org. There's some subscription links, some RSS links up there. I want to thank everybody for listening. I hope everybody had a great week, and I will see you all in a bit. Everybody have a great week. This is Buona.org Radio, episode 259, and I will see you next time.